Christmas carols down the street.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bookmas. Today I am so excited but also a little nervous. I am planning on reading the rest of the Magnolia Parks series in 24 hours. It was one of my goals this year to finish out this series. The newest book, the 5th book in this series, comes out in February, I believe. So I wanted to finish everything before that book came out, but also I just need to know what the hype is about. Everybody loves this series. But now we're in December. I've only read Magnolia Parks, which was a great book. This is a pretty hefty series. These 3 books combined is about 1,600 pages. They're thick. And especially for me, this is a little bit daunting because I tend to kind of tune out books at like the 350 page mark. Not a long book kind of girl. Today, I'm gonna have to be. So I'm gonna take you guys along with me on this journey. It's 11 a.m. right now. If you're new to the Magnolia Parks universe though, and you're just hopping into today's video and like, okay, cool, you're gonna read this series, what is it about? There are 2 main characters in this book, Magnolia Parks and BJ Ballantyne. Both of them are London socialites, and the 2 of them have an extremely toxic relationship. These 2 are meant to be, but they're not together, and they are just constantly hurting one another. That's the gist. There's so much more that goes into this book. It's a very, very fun read, kind of like a Gossip Girl sort of vibe. Lots of drama. The theatrics are out of control. This book ended on a real wild note, but now we are diving into Daisy Hates, which I think is a totally different point of view. So this one was Magnolia and BJ's story. This one is Daisy Hates' story and Julian, her brother. Both very prevalent characters in the first book. So I'm excited to see what is in store for this one. Let's start the clock. Okay, I'm about 2 hours in. I am on page 125. I feel like I'm reading kind of slow. There's so much to absorb and digest, so I feel like I can't speed through this book, you know what I mean? So in the very first Magnolia Parks book, it is the point of view of Magnolia and BJ. In this book, we have the point of view of Daisy, her brother Julian, and also Christian. And these are all characters from the last book, and what I didn't realize going into this one is this is actually the same timeline as Magnolia Parks. So everything that's happening in this book was happening in the very first book. These are just different point of views, which is so cool because you get all of these additional pieces of the puzzle. And it's really way too soon to say, but I think I might actually be liking this one a little bit more than the first one, mostly because I think I just like Daisy more than I like Magnolia. So far, at least. I don't know. And I really hate BJ. Like, I hate him. That relationship, it's fun and entertaining to read, but neither of the characters are very likable. Daisy, I feel I like her. And I really like Christian, but Christian and Magnolia had a thing a while ago, and he is 100% still in love with her, and now Daisy and Christian are kind of a thing. They're friends with benefits, but Daisy is definitely in love with him, and I just don't think, I think that Christian has feelings for her. I don't think he could love her as much as he loves Magnolia. And I'm really liking the point of view of Julian because in Magnolia's point of view, he's just like this very dangerous, scary kind of guy. Here, although like his family is like this huge crime family, Daisy has like a full-time bodyguard, like this is a dangerous family, but he just seems so like kind of soft in his point of view. I kind of love him. And also, I really like that we're seeing BJ and Magnolia from the outside because it just makes them look even more toxic and just ridiculous. All of these people just have such insanely messy lives, and like these love connections are crazy. Anyway, as of right now, I am Team Daisy. I really like her. She seems cool. She's like a med student. She knows how to fight. She's kind of badass. I think she has a lot more wherewithal than Magnolia. But yeah, lots more to get through in this one, but so far it is so good. Better get to work. Taking a little burger break. I am so hungry right now. I am a little bit over 200 pages right now, and it is getting so good, but it's still so frustrating, like Magnolia Parks, because Daisy and Christian have the same relationship as Magnolia and BJ. So it's just like, oh my god, can you guys just figure your shit out? Especially Daisy and Christian, like just tell each other that you actually like each other and want to be more than friends or friends with benefits, whatever we're doing here. It is killing me. Also, the amount of like killing off people willy-nilly, like obviously they're a huge like crime family, they can get away with this, but it's like, oh my god, someone gives Daisy a wrong look and it's just like, he's dead. It's very dramatic, but that is what I like about it. I think it's been like 3 hours. I feel very behind in my reading, but I am enjoying it. So it took me 7 hours to finish this book, and I am regretting my choices at this point. Like I said, this series is emotionally draining. I teared up at several points in this book. There's just so much self-sabotage and heartbreak and just like all these love triangles or love squares. It's messy, and it ended on such a sad note, but also it had like a little Magnolia Parks POV at the end of what she is up to right now. But as of now, I am still obsessed with Daisy, and I do still think that Julian has a soft spot, although it ended on such a crazy, upsetting note. And I'm rooting for her and Christian. I hate this. So the next book in the series is The Long Way Home, which is back to Magnolia's POV. I need a break from this world, although I know BJ and Magnolia and where they left things is not going to be better, but I do feel like I need a little breather from all of the crime and killing people and kidnapping and awfulness. Also, it's almost 8 p.m. now because I have taken so many short breaks in between. So it is going to be a bit of a long night because I really want to finish at least half of The Long Way Home tonight, and then tomorrow finish the rest, and then finish the final book, The Great Undoing. So lots to do. Okay, I was about to make a chai latte for a little caffeine, but we're out of milk, so impromptu Dutch trip it is.
I'm only picking Whataburger because I got.
Was anybody gonna tell me that I had this on my face? A fry morsel on my face this whole time? All right, on with it. Looks like a really crazy amount of time. Okay, I won't lie, I was a little bit not super excited about starting this one. I really just wanted to get back into Daisy's story. I just can't handle the back and forth, but then they just reel me back in. We just got the backstory of BJ and what happened in his past, and it's like, okay, well, like, how can I be mad and call you a douche now? What he went through, and at such a young age, I think he said like 14, is seriously fucked. Of course he doesn't deal with things in a healthy way. Right now I'm on page 71. Holding strong. The coffee is doing its job, so hopefully we can get to like 300. I'm just, it's so long. I am unwell. Why would Jessa Hastings do this to me? I feel like such a bitch. We are getting so much of the backstory of why Magnolia and BJ are who they are and things that have happened during their relationship that made them. So much has happened to them during this relationship. Like, they really truly cannot catch a break, and I feel horrible for being so annoyed with them this whole time, because after everything that's happened, like, you truly, they never had a chance. This is destroying me, and I cannot believe I have like 500 more pages. Like, It's almost 2 a.m. and I have finally come to a point where I feel like I should probably take a little break, take a little snooze. I did end up getting to 300 pages. I'm actually on chapter 44, page 303. And you guys, I am a grandmother. I go to sleep at 9:30 p.m. so I am fully in the trenches right now. I have so many mixed emotions over this book right now. These two are absolutely killing me. In the beginning, I told you I was not very excited about this one, although I really like this book. These two are just so extremely frustrating, and I do believe that they are fated to be together. Like, I am rooting for them, even though they're a disaster, but they irritate me. So when I started off this one, I was like, okay, let's get through this massive book so I can move along back to Daisy's world, but then they went and made me fall in love with them, okay? With little stories of their past, humanizing them even more and making me have to understand their toxic ways. But that was extremely short-lived because these two just cannot stop. And I will say that I like BJ. He's absolutely still a shit boyfriend, and I feel awful for the Jordan girl. I don't know why she's sticking around. I just have to assume that she just is having fun with a Valentine, you know what I mean? I feel like there's just so much growth in this book, and we love to see it. In Magnolia Parks, I absolutely despised this man. He was just a giant wrecking ball and just so reckless with both himself and Magnolia, her feelings, just a reckless person. Now it's like a year later, he's been going to therapy, and it shows. Like, he's not using, he's not fighting, he's semi-committed to his girlfriend, but there will always be Magnolia. And I am rooting for them. Are they a train wreck? Absolutely. But do I want them to be together? Yes, because they are better together. When things are good, they're really good. But Magnolia, oh my god, she is killing me, especially in this book. Like, I was way more on her side in Magnolia Parks, but in The Long Way Home, like, I can only defend you so much, girl. She has become so reckless. I was with you for a moment, girl, but you're doing too much. She is always doing way too much. This is why I'm a Daisy stan, okay? We did also get a teeny tiny Daisy snippet in here. Haven't really gotten many updates about her, but I think that the timelines align again in the next book. I'm really excited for that. But right now I've been reading for almost 12 hours, which is kind of good because I am halfway through this book, and then the next one is about 500 pages. So I'm going to be reading the same-ish amount tomorrow, which will be another 12 hours, which I'm trying really hard not to think about. But it is going to work out to be pretty much around 24 hours, which is very exciting because I wasn't really sure. For a moment there, I was like, this is taking a lifetime to finish this book. So my eyes are bright red. I've lost a nail. I'm exhausted. I'm actually going to pop all of these off. So I'm going to go to sleep for a little while, and then I will see you guys again tomorrow to wrap up the rest of the series. I am so tired, and I cannot even fathom another 12 hours of reading today. But here we go. It is 9:40 a.m. I cannot keep up with how I feel about everyone because last night I went to sleep so annoyed with Magnolia, and now I'm back to liking her. I honestly kind of love her and Julian together. I think I just really love Julian. I really like their dynamic because they're just so opposite from each other in every way. It works. So I am really enjoying that. But I am also really liking the Daisy snippets and maybe her and Christian having a little bit of a thing again. I'm so excited for the next book to get Daisy's point of view again, and then also just see her interpretation of what's going on with Julian and Magnolia just like running around her house constantly. And also, when did she move back into the house? Like, so many questions. I'm so excited for the next one. Also, there are so many parallels between Daisy and Magnolia. I kind of need them to be friends. Almost 13 hours in. This book is emotional warfare on my heart and soul. I just finished it at like 15 and a half hours in. I have no idea what the fuck that ending was, why that happened. You know why? because nobody can be happy in this fucking series. I don't even know where to begin with this because so much happened in this fucking book. I guess I'll try to start at the beginning where we figured out kind of why BJ did what he did with Hailie. Is that how you say her name? I don't know. My heart really softened for him at that point in the story, and I just feel like overall in this book there was so much growth, specifically with BJ, lesser so with Magnolia. It just bothered me so much that as soon as he confided in Magnolia that this is why that happened, although it doesn't make it better. Like, he still betrayed her, and that's not, you know, the proper way to handle things. I just felt like Magnolia kept bringing it up and kept being shitty about it. And that was so hard for him to talk about, and just like such a traumatic experience for him in general. It was like, I don't expect her to let it go right away. I don't know how you get over that, honestly. I don't know how you trust again, both a friend and this man, the love of your life. I don't know. I don't know. Never been there. But she really just kept bringing it up the rest of like the 600 pages or whatever. There's just so many little things that she does that piss me off, because it's kind of like everything falls on BJ. And yes, the first book, he's the biggest asshole ever, but she's not a saint in any of this. I just feel like a lot of the time she just seems so bratty and immature, just shitty. Like, they're young, but they're not that young. Anyways, lots of trauma at the beginning of this story and what the anniversary of December 3rd actually is. I started to just like, you know, feel for them a bit more, because I've always liked them and I've always rooted for them, but it was harder in the first book, whereas this one it's like, okay, just get together, my god. But I did enjoy Magnolia's little stint with Julian, and I think he's a big old sweetie pants. Although I do think whatever the fuck that ending was has something to do with him. I'm really excited to get into that story in the next book and figure out what all of these jobs he was doing behind like Magnolia's back, like what was going on with that. I think there's just like a lot of blanks that need to be filled in. Also, the side story with Jonah and Henry and their like love triangle situation. My heart. I do wish that we got Henry's point of view in these books, because he's just such an important character, and I just want to know what is the inner workings of his mind among all these craziness. And like, I'm rooting for that man too. I'm so excited to see what I missed through Daisy's point of view and Christian's and Jules. It is 2 p.m. though, and I know this next book is going to take, what did it take the first time? Like 6 hours? So I think we must do another coffee trip. Let's go. I've been getting the iced caramel brulee with no whip because I hate that cup. I don't like the dome cups. I am obsessed with this dedication though, because honestly, my therapy bills are racking up at this point. Jessa Hastings, you are on thin ice. Small update, I am 18 hours in and I'm only like a little over 100 pages in. I'm on page 114. I do just really enjoy like the rehashing of the same scenes from the last book and a different point of view, because you just miss so much. I kind of wish that I reread Magnolia Parks before I started Daisy Hates again, because I'm sure there's so many things that I missed or didn't realize was connected, I guess. All right, back to it. I'm over 21 hours into this. That is insane, first of all, and I still have like 170 pages to go. But right now I am on page 333. It's Julian's chapter. But in the last chapter, there was a conversation between Magnolia and Daisy, chapter 43. And this conversation was mentioned in the last book through Magnolia's point of view. And in her chapter, they're like all on a Italy trip, the whole friend group. They're staying in Lake Como at Julian and Daisy's family lake house. It's a really odd trip, and in Magnolia's point of view, the whole focus is on her and BJ and their strange relationship and what she's really doing with Julian. BJ is like completely checked out of his relationship. So although there's like a mention of this conversation, it goes a lot more in depth in Daisy's chapter and in her point of view, and the conversation is so much more, I don't know, eye-opening. And that's what's so irritating about a lot of Magnolia's point of views. Of course, the majority focus is on BJ, duh, that's kind of the whole point of the book, but a lot of her like interactions just feel so very surface level. You get a lot more snippets in here of her conversations with Julian and Daisy, and there's so much more to Magnolia, and it just makes me like her a lot more. And I just don't know why she's made out to be so kind of one-dimensional in a lot of her point of views. I don't know. It's just very interesting how things are portrayed in both versions of the book, but also I just can't be sure that I'm making any sense right now. I'm 21 hours into this. I better get back to it. I don't want to be up at 2 a.m. again. If the ending wasn't so sad, I would be much more excited that I finished the series with like 15 minutes to spare. But right now, it kind of just feels like my heart was ripped out of my chest and I'm crying. The ending of this book and the ending of the last book, and just like what it means for everyone right now. Just so sad for everyone involved. This entire friend group is such a mess and I'm so tired, but at least it's earlier than 2 a.m. Good morning, everyone. After I finished the 24-hour reading session of the Magnolia Parks series, I was like, okay, I need to collect my thoughts. I'm exhausted. So I decided to give you my full recap, update, review in the morning. This review will contain spoilers, but before I get into all of that, overall, I really enjoyed this series. It's a lot. Everyone is a toxic disaster, and there are so many things that are incredibly irritating throughout this series. Overall, it's a lot of fun. It's very entertaining. It's like a very elevated version of Gossip Girl. I got incredibly invested in all of these characters, and I like the dynamic of this entire friend group. Not necessarily the dynamic, because like I said, they are a disaster. But I like that the whole series revolves around this circle of friends. Their lives are just so beyond anything that I can comprehend. It's a nice escape into this messy world. I'd recommend the series if you are into all of the drama, but I can definitely see some people not enjoying this. It is repetitive at some points, especially like because the Daisy books and the Magnolia books are written in the same timeline, the same events are happening, and in certain books, specifically, is it this one? The Great Undoing. Some of the things were like scene for scene in The Long Way Home, and I was like, okay, we don't really need this twice. I ended up really liking it, and I will continue to read this series. I know there is the one that's coming out in February, but I also heard that there are 2 more books coming out. I don't know. But each book leaves you on such an insane cliffhanger. It's so easy to want to keep reading and to know what's going on. So those are my overall thoughts, but I am going to get into my spoiler thoughts. So if you are not interested in that, thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I'll start off with the first book first, even though I didn't read it in this vlog. But to be honest, there are certain things that I didn't really remember until I read Daisy Hates. It kind of jogged my memory on what was going on in here, but I was instantly hooked with this book. I read this one a couple months ago, so my memory is a little bit hazy on what went down, but I remember obviously the ending. The whole book, it's like talking about this thing that happened between Magnolia and BJ, and then it comes out that he cheated on her, and it's like, okay, but why did you cheat on me? And he's like, I wanted to. Dick. And finally the end is he cheated on Magnolia with her best friend, which is fucking crazy. But throughout this entire book, I mean, the whole point of view is just Magnolia and BJ, and I didn't really care for either one. I liked the dynamic of the friend group and how they've been friends since they were like little tiny babies. Love that, but they were just so extremely messy and immature, and specifically BJ was just like the biggest douchebag. Like you're just having sex the entire book, hurting Magnolia's feelings, and Miss Girl just never learns. So this is frustrating, but one of those where it's like, okay, they're gonna get together. It's gonna happen. And then something bad happens again. But I did like this book. I found it very entertaining. I read it in a single evening, but I did end up giving it 3 stars, and it just didn't make me like need to pick up the next book immediately. So that's why it took me a few months to get into Daisy Hates. This one I loved so much. I gave this one 4 stars. I enjoyed Daisy's character more than I enjoyed Magnolia. Honestly, I have not watched any of like the Magnolia Parks vlogs or like looked up reviews and stuff because I didn't want to spoil things for myself. So I don't even know if this is like, do we all agree on this? Let me know. I'm like kind of nervous to post this and then like you guys are all gonna hate my opinions. But I liked her. I think that she is just misunderstood. She was born into a shit situation and she's doing her best with it. I feel for her, and there's a lot of pieces of her that I found incredibly relatable, and I also just really loved her and Christian's love story. Although in this book it was so messy, and like I remember reading it throughout Magnolia's point of view, kind of. That's one thing I really hate about Magnolia, is that she just kind of holds on to people and wants everyone for herself, and it's just, she's so selfish with other people and their feelings. There's definitely a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms and things that Daisy does as well. None of these characters are like necessarily great people, but I liked her, and I liked her sassy little footnotes at the end. Like I just found them very funny. And I also really like Julian, and I don't know where everyone stands with Julian either, so that's another thing I'm nervous about. But again, I just feel like they were just born into this shit and he's doing the best he can. Could he be better? Probably, yeah, definitely. Especially towards the end of this book, and he's just like completely off the rails. But I think that it's very cute how protective he is of Daisy, and throughout like the rest of the series we see that he has a softer side, although there's so many things that he does that I just do not agree with. But what can I say? I love a bad boy. I love the danger that he brings. I found those pieces so fun to read, more fun than like a back and forth shit relationship. So this one is, I don't know, it might be my favorite from the series. This one I have so many mixed feelings about because there's so many ups and downs. Like Magnolia and BJ, they never learn. While there was definite growth for BJ throughout this book, I just felt like he was still immature, and like how he was treating his current girlfriend and going about things with Magnolia still. It's shitty. Grow up. You guys are like 24, 25 or whatever. What are we doing? I did find it eye-opening to get pieces of their past with Magnolia and BJ having the baby and losing the baby. Obviously, that kind of binds you together even more so than this fated love story that they already had before that. That's a tough loss to deal with, and especially at a young age. I think they said 16. And then BJ was like sexually assaulted at 14. Like these are big traumatic experiences, and so of course these are just like fucked up kids, and also rich kids just live a different life. I think that they mature a lot slower because everything is just like handed to them. Everything's easy peasy. But what I found really fucking irritating throughout this book is just how Magnolia dealt with things. She was like, BJ's not gonna break this girl's heart for me because I'm just like here all willy-nilly now. Okay, great, I'm gonna sleep with everybody ever, and essentially pull a BJ on herself. You didn't like when he did it to you, but you're going to do it to him. Okay, great, great growth. Love that. I like the Magnolia and Julian storyline. I thought that it was fun, but it went on way longer than it needed to, which we will talk about that in a minute. This friend group I really like, but oh my god, it is like the most incestuous friend group ever. Also, okay, so they ended up getting engaged in this book, which is just like, okay, finally, sure. I am rooting for them, but like, why are we doing this so quickly? You guys, they just never take a fucking break. They're either together or they're with someone else. Like there's never like a breather. And BJ did try to do the friends thing, and Magnolia was such a little bitch about it. She was so pissed, and it's just like, okay, BJ had the right idea here. Take a break, dude. Like they're just always jumping in and out again, and like obviously that's not working for you. So they got engaged really quickly. I don't know how that's gonna go because Bridget is dead. Why the fuck is Bridget dead? Obviously I have an idea because I read this book, but I figured that the car crash was somehow related to Julian. Obviously that is confirmed in this book, but I didn't really suspect the thing with Bridget being related. I just thought like maybe she got a head injury during the car accident or something, but now I'm like, okay, maybe these people are after Magnolia and just sending a sign that they can get to her by taking Bridget out first. But it's like, did you need to do that? Because I fucking love Bridget. That didn't need to happen. That was stupid, but okay. Next, this book was such a disappointment, honestly. It just felt like I was rereading this book. I don't think we needed the repetition between Magnolia and Julian so long, because like I got the hint from this book that he cared about her. Thanks for spelling it out for me, I guess. I don't know. I just hated that we got so much of that and like not enough of Daisy and Christian. And also I did enjoy Daisy and Tiller as like a fun little blimp. Obviously it was never going to work, and I was wanting Christian and her to get back together, but it was interesting. I don't know. So yeah, it was just way too much Julian and Magnolia, and just like he willingly, I felt like, put her in danger. And also one other thing, is Magnolia really this oblivious? She's like, oh, I don't really know what he does, but you know he's dangerous, you know he's somewhat of like a gang lord. Like, she just never really seems to know what's going on, and that's absurd. I did like her budding friendship with Daisy in this book though, which I thought was odd because it wasn't really talked about in this one. Like, it was mentioned, but like there were just a lot more in-depth scenes in here, which I liked, but it was also frustrating because it's like, okay, this is not Magnolia's book. Why am I reading so much about Magnolia still? So that was irritating. And then also, I was wondering when Christian's mom thing was about to come up. This book, they mentioned she's in the hospital, but in here we find out that she was shot in the head. That is breaking my heart. Christian crying is breaking my heart. And then ripping Daisy out of his life in front of him right when they got together. Just a Hastings, you are sick. So honestly, yeah, I'm a little bit pissed with this ending, because where do we go from here? What are we doing about Bridget? You kidding me? Like, she cannot really be dead. No. Are Magnolia and BJ still gonna get married in all of this? Who has the time for that? Daisy, hello? Do we ever see her again? Where are you taking her? What is going on? You couldn't just abduct Christian too. At least let them have each other. My God. So I'm mad, but I need the next book because I just like, I don't understand what happens next. Those are kind of my thoughts. I probably missed a million things because these are the chunkiest books ever and there's so much that happens, but that's all I can think of right now. My brain is fried from reading about these people so much. But yeah, let me know if we agree on things. I don't really know where people stand, so I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts. But thank you guys for watching. I feel like this is going to be a really long vlog, so I appreciate you for sticking around. I will see you guys again very soon. Bye!